let's explain Tiger's swing changes over the years. Let's not too technically, but I think when Tiger came out, a little bit of a strong grip, a little bit of the club getting across the line at the top, maybe arms a little out of position, a little too much behind him, moved a little too much off the ball.
I think it was a very obvious young player who focused on power and was a super athlete, but maybe wasn't as clean as it should have been. Yeah.
And what was your thing you said on the radio, Butch Harmon, who worked with him from 93 to 04, I think. What was your saying? He had to put a saddle on the horse?
Yeah, Butch said most of the time he was teaching him, he was just trying to put a saddle on the bucking bronco, trying to figure out how to handle that raw energy and turn it into a player. And one thing, there's this great article he actually wrote for Golf Digest that I go back to and read. He goes, the things I learned from each of my players. And the thing he said he learned about Tiger, one, was that he had to learn how to motivate Tiger, how to get him to change and work on things, and how to improve himself. He tells a story about, he was trying to get Tiger to high cut because, like you said, he was such a...
he was susceptible to a hook.
Yeah.
When he was young, because the club was across the line, his arms were behind him. So coming down into the ball, they get underplane, and that body was so fast. Again, go to YouTube and look at some old swings of young Tiger. It is, it makes Rory almost look calm. It is crazy.
Yeah, it is wild.
How fast he turned.
And so Butch was saying he was trying to get Tiger to have that shot in his Rolodex with a long iron, the high cut, to be able to use it in certain situations, especially getting to a tucked right pin. And he said Tiger couldn't figure it out, and he was frustrated. And at one point, Butch said, look, man, I don't think you can do it at this point. Why don't we make a bet? Why don't you try to hit, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but there was a gap in the fence at this driving range they were at. Why don't you try to hit a cut through that? Let's see if you can do it. And Tiger, first try, got it.
Yeah.
And he said at that point he realized he needed to challenge Tiger to achieve something, and he could change it.
Good story.
And I think that, one, as a golf teacher, that shows you that everybody has to be approached differently, and you have to figure out what's the best way for you to improve and you to practice, and as teachers, for us to get that out of somebody. But I think it also shows how a lot of Tiger's early golf swing was raw physical talent, and he had to become more of a technician with the artistry.
Yeah, I think without question, Butch kept his arms in front of him more. One of the great influence in our golf school, certainly in my swing philosophy, is so many people want to wind up like tops, and the arms get way behind their head, and your arms are behind you, out of position at that point. And Butch really put him in a great position at the top. Some would say he shortened it. I would say he got his arms in a better position in front of his body, and really made Tiger hit thousands of shots with a stop at the top drill, which, again, if you're listening or watching, is a great drill. Go to the top, stop, and then count to 2 or 3, and then hit the ball. And it synchronizes that vertical arm swing with that winding body. And if you can get your timing better doing that, you'll hit the ball so much more solid. But it's almost impossible to do if you either sway your body out of position or come up out of posture and your body's really off, out of position. Absolutely. But in Tiger's case, arms too far around, just across the line, maybe too big a swing. And he really calmed down. I think Tiger's footwork got so much more subtle under Butch. His arm position stayed more connected to him, and he shortened it up, and it was sure great. I don't know why he left Butch. Some of me thinks that Butch was getting a lot of attention, and a young Tiger Woods probably didn't like that. Maybe he still felt stuck. The drop-down move, I've never read anything about Butch talking about how to keep Tiger from dropping and kind of getting stuck like an accordion, like you said, increasing posture lines, and then there's no room for the club, and you're not turning well because you're spending your time moving up and down. I don't know, but he decided through the influence of Mark O'Meara then to go to Hank Haney and created something a little different. It was more of a rounder swing. Maybe that was an effort to stay more level. Don't know. Although Hank Haney in his book said that he talked to Tiger about dropping, and Tiger refused to change that part of his move or something to that effect. Tiger wouldn't change that.
Well, I think Tiger, before the pressure data and stuff that we had now, intuitively understood that compression in the turf was part of his ability to hit the ball hard.
Yeah.
I would argue that you look at those 1997 videos you're referencing, and Tiger's the most level there that he ever was, and he was arguably pound for pound the most powerful he ever was. So I think that obviously get carried away, and I do think as people are passionate about golf and looking at Instagram and looking at YouTube about golf swing stuff, that maybe in the last decade especially, some pros have gotten a little too carried away with the idea of footwork and compression and increasing of the power and forgotten the holistic golf swing as a part of it. But I think Tiger intuitively understood that was part of his game and maybe focused on it too much himself.
One of the things I do like, though, Jake, we use Body Track Matt here, but there's Swing Catalyst and others, and about ground force understanding is people, when they understand their footwork, they tend to get more rhythmic, and when their feet do the right things, their legs are a little quieter, the whole thing improves. So I think it's a wonderful thing. And, we've had people hitting sock feet to feel where the weight is in their feet. It's got to travel from the middle of your feet, just in the forward part of your arches, into the inside back heel, and then forward to the outside kind of pad behind your baby toe on your lead foot, and then into the heel. And if you can trace that properly and really pay attention to your footwork, I think you can be a better golfer. And I think that's another thing that Butch did for Tiger in getting that saddle on that bucking Bronco, is he introduced more rhythm into the game and more subtlety into the game, right? And
sure.
and then Tiger would have more shots.
Yeah, for the record, I'm not talking against the concept. I've worked more on my footwork in the last
totally understand
8 years of my golf swing than I've worked on anything else in my own golf swing too. I think it's really important, but I just mean that there's
more to it.
You can't overdo anything,
Yep.
right? You can overdo any good thing in the golf swing, and unfortunately, as teaching pros, we tend to chase the rabbit hole. That's the newest to us and the newest thing that we've understood. But
yeah, so
you're right. So turning more level, he started swinging a little more flat, and he also started opening the club face a little bit to
a little more rotation. Weaker hand to start. Maybe again an effort to make it more neutral. I don't know what.
Well, it would definitely fight the big left miss, right?
Yeah.
His proclivity to hook early in his career. If you slightly weaken your grip, there's going to be a natural rotation open of the face through impact, and it's going to tend to work against your natural.
It might also lead you to
desire to
roll the arms a little more in the backswing, which he did, a little less wrist hinge.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, I don't think he needed to make those changes because of a hook as of 2000 when he was with Butch. Maybe in 97 he needed to get rid of those things. But I think Marco Mira had a great influence on him. Hank Haney's done a wonderful job with some players. Marco Mira, one of them. His success winning a couple of majors and at Pebble Beach. But Marco Mira was a great player and a really good putter.
I also don't think Hank Haney did a bad job with Tiger. Tiger, arguably, in
winning percentage
2004,
was
2005,
great.
2006, was as good as he ever was. Just not.
Yeah, I don't think any of us who really understood the motion of the game ever liked the move as much. And it didn't look as beautiful under Haney. It just didn't quite look the same. But Tiger wanting to get better. My brother John, who's an emotional intelligence expert and a former world touring pro himself, says Tiger sets his own standard. He admires that. He's willing to change everything to get better, and that's admirable. I say, holy crap, you're messing with the Mona Lisa. Like, let's not touch it up anymore. It's great. So there's an argument there. Tiger did what he did, tried to get better, moved to Hank Haney, weakened his grip, took some hinge out, made his swing a little rounder, still had success. Then moved on to Sean Foley, who at the time when Sean came out on tour there was a stack and tilt influence a little bit, staying on the lead leg, a little steeper, more of an up and down move. I never liked any of that for Tiger Woods. In my mind, from early days, Tiger's problem was, like as we've said, is dropping, and to have more vertical thought and to stay on the lead leg more. I never really understood why that would make you a better driver. I think the demise of the stack and tilt golf swing as a cover of Golf Digest success was that you can't drive the ball like that. You can stay on your lead leg and work your pelvis that way to hit those clean little 8-irons and wedges, but it's a really difficult way to swing a golf club. And Tiger's weakness was the driver, so I don't understand why he was drawn to that.
Well, not only that, but I mean, especially we're talking about the pressure shifts and everything now, it's inherently flawed logic. Staying onto your lead leg the concept of it allows you to stay very centered, very rotational, and keep your arms in front of you makes sense until you start thinking about it from a grand scale. Because if you don't allow the pressure to turn into your back thigh properly by slightly, in some cases, moving off the ball by an inch or two,
Yeah.
you're not able to then shift into your front leg properly and then clear your hip the way you need to actually rotate through the ball with a square face. So it keeps you in front of the golf ball, but it doesn't give you that rotational turn through.
I also think
especially with the
it's a power bleed. I mean, a pitcher in baseball doesn't stay on his lead leg and throw the
power
ball.
leak, yeah.
I mean, it's a power leak as well. So, but I just never understood it. I don't think Sean has evolved as a teacher. If you look at Sean Foley's tips, if you do a historic Google search,
They're extraordinarily different.
yeah, he's evolved, which is okay. That's allowed. But I think Tiger really turned left at Albuquerque.
For
If
the
he's
record-
Bugs Bunny, man, he went down the wrong tunnel at Albuquerque because I don't think that was the right move. I think Sean, though, is a brilliant communicator and a motivator. Very different than Butch Harmon, who'd tell you a dirty joke on the first tee to relax you. And Sean Foley would quote a 16th century philosopher, right, to inspire you. So very different. Another growth thing for Tiger, potentially. Even as a human being, maybe Sean was a great influence.
Well, I think at that time, Tiger, obviously, this is post-controversy, was searching for something different and searching for a way to figure out how to come back and deal with the fact that his back was starting to fail and all these things. And I think he felt like originally he found that in Sean. I agree with you. I don't think it was the best thing for him. I don't think adding verticality to a already stuck golfer.
Well,
makes
that's
a lot
what
of
we
sense.
think, right? That's our opinion. And then Chris Como, we don't really know because it was injuries and off-course stuff and the DUI. And but I think Chris Como is a very smart coach again. I kind of argued after Hank, why does he need another coach? Like at the time, Steve Williams, now Joe LaCava, who caddied for Couples for so many years. All Tiger needs, and that's what he's doing now, and I love it now. This is another thing I really like about Tiger, whatever .0 this is, that having taught the golf swing and studied it my entire life, I don't need a coach. I maybe need you to stand behind me and say, hey, Jake, tell me if the club's outside. Hey, Jake, tell me if I'm changing posture angles. Hey, Jake, tell me if I'm square when I stand over the ball. You need a pair of eyes, but I know what to look for when I watch the video. So, I kind of wish after Haney, Tiger would have maybe consulted with people and used them but not had a coach and worked on changing a complete motion.
Well, I couldn't agree more, and I think it's ironic that we're teaching pros saying get away from the teachers, but I think there does get to a certain point where you transcend with your understanding of the golf swing in your game and you own your own swing, that the need to have somebody tell you what to do, right? A second pair of eyes to make sure that you're not only looking at the wrong thing is a good thing, I still think. I think that's why most tour players have a coach. It's to help them stay on the rails and not get too distracted by certain
a lot
elements.
of tour pros need a coach. A lot of tour pros don't understand the biomechanics and the 3D motion capture analysis of a golf swing. They're good college players. They're good high school players. They come out of wherever they come out of. You think of a guy like Bubba Watson. Like, he needs explanation on the biomechanics of the motion. And no, you got to be very careful. Some players play better with less information because they just inherently do it through instinct and talent.
Artists.
But some still do. But I just didn't think Tiger Woods did at that stage. So, and I love where he is right now. He's got probably good people keeping an eye on things. He's watching it himself. Joe LaCava is a wonderful source. I really do think that. I mean, can you imagine a tour pro for Fred Couples and then for Tiger, how much he knows about the golf swing and the flight of the ball and what it should look like and sound like and, what the address position should look like? He'd have a great eye for that stuff. Bones Mackay is doing an awesome job commentating on television.
Yeah, I really like him.
Being, Phil's caddy. I mean, there's a pedigree. Caddies don't get enough
By the way,
credit.
can